right? All right, cool. Ready? All right. Hey all, my name is Blue Thomas. I'm the co-founder and CTO for Bellhop. Quick disclaimer, my partner usually does these, so bear with me while I screw this up. We're all pretty accustomed to using these on-demand marketplace services in our home. They're mostly marketed towards locals anyway, but travelers don't, they're kind of inaccessible to travelers. They're just not marketed to them, they're not in their language. There's just not a lot of brand awareness around them. So what we're doing at Bellhop is building a platform that powers product experiences around these services for travelers. And what we do is we've aggregated the services that travelers use the most. So we're talking about food and transportation and recreation. So with food, we're talking about reservations and food delivery. Transportation, we have taxi rides and scheduled rides or shuttles to the airport or whatever. And recreation, you can book tours and activities or buy tickets for shows and events. How we do that is through, we abstract the differences between the different providers in the different regions and developed a normalized API around them. So we kind of give all these APIs for the services a common language and a common workflow. And what that allows us to do is scale to all sorts of products, all sorts of partnerships and their services in all the regions that we're plugged into. And I don't want to get too technical, but as you know how platforms work, we're able to power a bunch of different types of products. We have our own app that's going to be released in the App Store in a couple of weeks. And what we're doing with that is we're piloting with a group of Airbnb hosts in New York City to do sort of a referral distribution to their guests to allow them to provide concierge services for them as if they're in a full service hotel without the guy behind the desk. We're developing an SDK for partners that we're in conversations with to plug in our capabilities and power booking and transaction capabilities into their applications. So we're talking to like travel management companies, airlines, airports. We can give direct secure access to our API so that companies have direct access to our inventories and transaction capabilities. And of course, chatbots. Everybody's hot on those things. I think it's kind of applicable to what we're doing because you have a guy behind a desk that's the concierge attendant at a full service hotel who has a very strict domain, very specific domain, and he farms out. You give him requests and like he'll try to help you out. So I think an AI powered chatbot in this type of service would actually do really well. Where else? I guess business model. We take a cut of all the commissions. So we negotiate with our providers in all the regions and we become the merchant of record for them. So we charge on behalf of them, we get invoiced. And we take at a minimum 25%. At some of our providers, we have 75% of the commission share. And it's pretty straightforward. Uber is the outlier here, but we can talk about that later. Here's our team, they're pretty rad.
Yeah.
Ask me questions about them later if you want. Norm's on it. So, questions?
How many languages do you guys have it in?
We're really early.
Okay.
So we're less than a year old. English?
English.
Yeah.
I'm looking at services that do sort of internationalization on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, our team is like all over the world as well too. So I think when we start going to different countries, we'll start doing some real internationalization. Laura?
So what do you think is the necessary critical mass of services to have? Because you right now have a limited number within each category.
Yeah.
Is it a certain number of categories? Is it a certain number within categories? What's the right formula to make it complete enough?
I want to keep the categories pretty minimal because we want to focus on travelers and have that experience pretty honed in. And we can do like cross kind of requests saying like, oh, you got a restaurant reservation for tomorrow, here's a cab on its way, accept it, blah, blah, blah. Maybe do some curated itineraries if like you're traveling somewhere and it'll just like populate it. So the limited amount of categories I think I want to keep with, and then the more providers, there's so many providers popping up in all these spaces in all the major cities. So I'd like to, go down that path more.
So does it become a competition between?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't like it if we pitted them against each other within our platform, but who's to say? We'll see.
Search, right?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, thanks.
How'd you get a name like Blue?
My mom's a strange person. She's very, very creative. Very creative. She actually named me after a character in a Western a long time ago. I have a younger brother named Sean, so he got the short end of the stick.
So for a CTO, you gave a great presentation, by the way. But I wanted to get your opinion on why do you feel like we haven't had any concierge apps
This seems
that
to
have
be
been
a-
able to succeed in the past few years?
I think on-demand marketplace stuff is, I mean, it's not brand new, but they're proliferating. I think there are a lot of players coming into the space. Lola launched last week, right? It's going to get pretty heated in the next year, I think. They're all doing something slightly different. We're concentrating on the platform. We're not doing a consumer play right now. So, yeah, I don't know.
And
I think it'll heat up.
so you guys are going after B2B?
For now, yeah.
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 And do you have any customers already?
We have some conversations. My partner does most of that stuff.
Got it.
And I'm hoping to get some LOIs in the next month or so. We're not going B2C because, I mean, our strengths are in enterprise and
Yeah.
B2B and travel hospitality, so we're just playing to that. Who knows what the future has in store.
What's your key differentiator?
I would like to think that it's the API design and just the ease of use of integrating it into like our product, another person's product, a partnership, any of their applications or API access. So putting a lot of effort into that to make it as normalized as possible across all regions.
Have you partnered with Airbnb or are you talking to them?
I'm trying to get this guy I know in New York to get his buddy on the board to get us an interview or like a conversation with one of them. So yeah, we're working on that. I used to be an Airbnb superhost in New York for like 2 years, so I know that at least my guests back in the day would have used something like this, and I polled a lot of them in the past about like what services they would like, which is why we're doing that pilot in New York. It's not going to make us any money probably, but we'll learn a lot from it.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.